Hello everyone from the other side of the world. I'm using my new selfie stick that I got at the Goodwill. So you see my outfit and everything. I got Rudolph on my head. So yeah, this is the selfie stick. I'm trying it out. But as you can see, we're back in the kitchen because I am fixing to make another recipe for you. And I'm going to take this selfie stick apart. It works great. It's a good thing. See how far away from you I am? And now I'm right up close with Rudolph on my head. So I'm going to be baking another recipe for you. Now this is a recipe that I saw. You guys are jiggly. I'm sorry. Get centered. Now this is a recipe that I found on TikTok. And I've made it once. And oh my goodness. I amazed myself when I took it out and tried it. It was so good. I want to share it with you guys because it's fantastic. It's pretty simple, easy to make. So let me take this thing off and put it over here and we'll get started, or I'll get started cooking this recipe for you. Whoa! Got a mind of its own. Popped out. Okay, here's the ingredients. I'm going to show you what goes in it. A popped open pan of biscuits. I didn't even have to touch it. It popped on its own. And I'm going to use the exact same ingredients that I did the first time I made this. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You just add in the vegetables that you like. It's mainly vegetables. But I like mushrooms in mine. And this is just a small can of mushrooms that I've cut up real teeny tiny with a pair of scissors. Because you want them to be small enough that they fit inside of your muffin tin. So just chop them up real fine. This is a can of veg all. And I'm debating if I need to drain it or not. I probably do. As I said, I saw this on TikTok. And I think they even put chicken broth in theirs. But I'm not going to be doing it with mine. And the first time I did it, this is the size chicken that I used. Now, they used rotisserie chicken, and they just shredded it up real little. I didn't have any of that and didn't want to buy it. I had this on hand because I get it through my food pantry. But the first time I used this, and I didn't feel like I had enough meat in it. So today, when I went shopping, I picked up a bigger can of chicken to add to it. So you add that in. Both cans of chicken. Like I said, this is a can of veg all. This is a can of mushrooms, small mushrooms, and a can of cream of chicken soup. Put that in there. And I do think they had some chicken broth in theirs, but I'm not going to put it in mine. If I feel like it's too thick, I'll just add a little bit of water to it. I'm going to add my mushrooms. This all here is the base of it. Oh, I forgot to tell you what I call these. I call them baby pots. It's actually miniature chicken pot pies. I call them baby pots. Now we're going to add our veg alls. Now, the only thing that's different from this one that I did in the first one, I opened up a can of corn, a can of green beans, put in a handful of carrots, mixed that all up. This time I used a can of veg all, and it had potatoes in it. Because the first time I made it, I didn't have any potatoes in it. And I felt like it would really be good if it had the potatoes. So I put the potatoes in there. Then I add a little bit of the seasoning salt. I think I got this at the Dollar Tree. And the seasoning salt is the only seasoning that I put in it. And then I liked onions in mine. Now this is a little tip that I would tell you about. I bought a whole bag of onions the last time I went to the store. But I only needed one. And the rest of them I knew were going to start growing eyes. So I chopped them up real little and bought these tiny little bags from the Dollar Tree, put them in there and dated what they was. This is a cup. This says a cup, 3/4, half a cup, and a fourth. So you can measure out what you need. I'm going to put the whole thing in there because I like it. And then after you chop your onions up, you put them in the freezer. Now, I had another lady that I talked to that watches my channel, and we were discussing doing this. And she said she tried it before, and she didn't like her onions that way because she said it does something to them when you freeze them. The reason I thought about doing them that way is because when I worked at the deli, we used to get onions in frozen that we used in our food that we put out on the hot bar. So I figured, well, if they get it in frozen at the deli, it's probably okay. She said they flash freeze it, which is probably true. They probably do. But I've already used these onions like this twice. She said it changes the texture and the color of it. And it doesn't work as right. But see how they look? And I've already used 2 bags of these like this that I've done in different recipes. And I didn't find any wrong with it. I got one more thing I'm going to throw in here. This is some of those sun-dried tomato that I used in my Marry Me chicken recipe that I made. I have a video of it if you want to look at my playlist of my Bake With Me recipes. And I just take scissors, chop them up like this. This is how I did the mushrooms. Chop them up real little. I hope this don't ruin it. I'm going to throw some of these puppies in there. Mix and mix and mix. Right, everything all mixed up together. It turned it a little bit red with the sun-dried tomatoes in there. This is how it looks all mixed up. Now here's the next step. You're going to take your biscuits. I'm sure you've seen people do this before in a lot of different recipes. You're going to split these biscuits right in two. And usually they're pretty easy to split. There's a spot on them. Then you'll get 2 biscuits out of one. So let me do that and I'll come back. All right, here's the biscuits all split up. And with a can of 8 biscuits, when you split them, you're going to have 16. Then you're going to take one of the biscuit halves and you're going to kind of pinch it out a little bit with your fingers. Then you're going to have your cupcake tins. And this is the cupcake tin that I bought at the thrift store, remember? The green. And I sprayed it down with cooking spray. I sprinkled flour in it and I put some little pieces of parchment paper in there just to make definitely sure that it don't stick. I seen another YouTuber do that with the spray it with oil, cooking spray, and then put the parchment paper on it. I just threw the flour in there. It's my own idea. Then you're going to take your little biscuits. After you mash them down, mash them out flat, and you're going to work them down into this muffin tin. Just like that. So let me finish these and then I'll come back. Okay, now with 8 biscuits, you're going to get 16 of these little muffins. After you get them in here, you can kind of go back on the ones that are not as far up the sides and kind of pull them up a little bit, stretch it. This dough is kind of elastic and it will kind of sink down in there. And what I do, I fill the big one up with 12 and then I have a smaller one that I put the remaining 4 in. And I leave this open so that I can grab it out. But yeah, if they sink down in there, just go back and kind of work them back up. You want them to get as close to the top of that thing as you can. And then what I do is I put them in the oven and par bake them for like 5 to 8 minutes just to make sure that the dough cooks all the way through. I don't want to cut into it and find the biscuit doughy. So let me do that, and then I'll get back and show you how to do the rest of it. Okay, I've taken them out of the oven. And what I do, I take a little shot glass and I stick it down in there because it'll be kind of puffy. And I kind of wiggle it around and flatten it back down again so that there's room to put the filling in. Kind of move. If the sides are puffy, just kind of roll it around like that. Get your sides down. Make a little room in there for your filling. Be very careful. It's very hot because it just came out of the oven. Then, to put the filling in, I use an ice cream scoop. I don't have one of the kind with the clickety-click, so this one works. And I just take like a small amount and put in each pie. Just like this. So let me do this and then I'll come back. Now as you can see, I've got them all filled. What I do is I put a small amount in each one to make sure each one's got a little bit. Then I have this left over. I just go back and I keep adding it to the ones that look like they might need a little. Like this one right here could use a little bit more. This one right here could use a little bit more. And just go back, look at them, eyeball them, pat them down, whatever, and pile a little bit more on top. Now this next step is optional. I have 3 kinds of cheeses here. Dry Parmesan, Parmesan Romano, and regular American cheese. And this is the cheese that I got from my food bank. In that big block, I just grate it up and put it in a container like this. Now, like I said, this is optional. If you don't want cheese on it, you don't have to. Some people don't like cheese on this. I do. And I like to put 3 different kinds. I think it would work better if I put these dry ones. Take a little spoon. Whoops, too much on that. Put a tiny little dab of this cheese on there. And after I get all the cheeses on there, I kind of go back and scoot any that's out on the pan and mash it down just a little bit. Get it all mashed down in there so the cheese will cook and melt. And we're ready for the final step, which is putting it in the oven. Now I just finished baking it for the time that the recipe says. Not the recipe, but the instructions on the biscuit thing say. And they say to cook it 13 to 16 minutes, and I've already cooked it a few minutes. So I'm going to put it in for 10 minutes, and we'll see how it goes. I'll check it at the end of 10 minutes. So I'll be back YouTube time in 10 minutes to let you see how these turn out. Okay, and here we are, fresh out of the oven, baby pots. Now, I really should let them cool a little bit, but I want to get them out and show them to you. I'm going to wait till they cool. Okay, here they are. That's what they look like when they're done. They smell wonderful. Now, I'm not going to eat any of them because I've already had my supper tonight. But I will cut one open so that you can see what it looks like. There's what it looks like in the middle. Chunk of chicken. That might be a potato. This also had celery. The vegetable that I use, it said it had 7 kinds of vegetables in it. Carrots, green bean, corn, potatoes, celery. You name it, it's in there. Anyway, that's what they look like. It's a wonderful little meal. I will wrap these up in aluminum foil and put them in the ice box, and I will have these for the whole entire week. Munching on them. Thank you guys for coming and watching this video. And y'all come back and see us any old time.